Morbid obesity is a prerequisite to be in the OGRYN faction, which explains why everyone here is so damn slow. Finally, he sleeps here with another video in the Faction Wars series. On your way to Lydia the Death Siren, you'll need to 3-star each and every level in each and every faction, including the OGRYN faction, which seems impossible, but it's not. First though, make sure you subscribe here at YouTube, turn on notifications so you never miss when a video goes live. It's simple and free, but makes a big difference for the channel. The OGRYN faction, level 21, ends with the green boss, which attacks with HP burn, poison, and true fear. To survive, you'll need to be able to survive the debuffs. If you can resist, block debuffs, or constantly cleanse, you're going to be fine. Now, there are a lot of champions readily available for this faction, but when you put your ultimate team together, like all factions, you'll want to plan for 3 major elements: damage, crowd control, and support. So for damage, you need at least 1 DPS, damage dealer, or maybe a nuker or 2. Crowd control, which is basically someone who lays down an AoE that stuns, sleeps, weakens, decreases defense, something sets up the waves so that your damage dealers can come in and take care of them. And then third, and most importantly, a support champion that acts as a cleanser, or better yet, a debuff blocker, someone who can either block them all together or cleanses them, removes them one at a time, maybe even revives and heals. It's basically someone to keep everyone in the fight. Now for my team, I do have a double man-eater setup, specifically from an old Bat Eater clan boss team. You do not need 2 man-eaters. You can simply swap one or both out with different block debuff champs. Their unkillable is their main thing for most people, but in this faction, without someone healing, those unkillables really don't even come into play. Here, though, they're more for the block debuffs on their A3, and that can be overcome with a couple of rare Fury Stokers, whose A2 cleansers, his A2 cleanses an ally. So you can put 2 Fury Strokers in, and it pretty much works the same way. There's really no other block debuff champs in OGRYN, so high resist and Fury Stokers is the best alternative to Maneater. Unkillable is the speed lead in my team. He's an epic that brings poison on his A1, a cleanse and heal on his A2, and continuous heal on his A3. He's actually more important to this team than the 2 Maneaters, but can still be substituted by Fury Strokers for the cleanse, and anyone bringing heavy healing can go in there. Gear Grinder is a rare that brings a single ally revive and an all ally heal. There's better champs for this, but in this team with 2 Maneaters and Unkillable, he's fine. Yugo is the better option, but I've still never pulled one from shards, so Gear Grinder it is. Grush the Mangler is for both crowd control with his AoE, decrease attack, and decrease crit damage, but more for team heal with his continuous heals on his A3. Prundar and Towering Titan would both be viable options if you don't have him. What I'm missing in this team is damage dealing, which is why this battle takes so freaking long. Damage dealers that would help would include War Mother, Skrank, OGRYN Jailer, even Biggin. Again, you can swap out anyone I used here for anyone as long as your resist is high enough and you meet all of the roles. There's a few notes here on the waves. Depending upon what level you're on in OGRYN, there's a Paragon that pops up, which you see I'm targeting him. He was in the back. If you do not take him out first, or take him out during the waves, if he becomes the last man standing here, in these OGRYN waves, towards the bottom, like 21, 20, 19, 18, I can't remember what point he pops up, but it's the last 4 or 5 levels. He's here in the second round. If you do not take him out first, he will stand there, and then he puts his unkillable debuff on a cycle, and he becomes unkillable unless you have someone who can remove it or kill him, you know, that ignores the unkillable. And if you've got it on autoplay and you walk away, you come back 20 minutes later and you're still stuck on the same one. So you do have to take Paragon out first. Otherwise, it's a full auto squad. Notes on this, you're going to be bringing 5 champions to everything. This is kind of generic rules for all of Faction Wars. For your damage dealers, which I don't have in this team, apparently, you're going to want to focus on crit rate and then crit damage. At least get 100% crit rate. Try to get 200 or higher for crit damage. Those are the champs that you put into lifesteal. And the reason being for the lifesteal is because it's gonna they're putting down a lot of damage, and that's your go-to gear set. It's easily farmable through dragons, and it replenishes their HP with the more damage that they deal. So it's perfect for that. For your support, your healer revivers, you're probably going to want to put them in some kind of a shield set, either a team shield or a self shield, bolster, shield, any of the like the divine sets. For crowd control, the guys that are laying down the AoE debuff, stun, sleep, weaken, decrease defense, decrease speed, etc. You might want to put those into immortal or regen. They're probably going to need accuracy, perception, speed, and then lifesteal if you're struggling to keep everybody alive. Remember, Faction Wars is a marathon, not a sprint. I say this in all the videos. You have to start somewhere. You do not need legendaries to make this work, and you don't need everybody at 60 either, especially along the way. You've just got to start somewhere and just start tackling, and eventually you'll get to the point where you're like closing in on a team, and that's when you start to build people the proper way. Now, once you get to the green boss, it's all about surviving the debuffs while you destroy the minions, then go after the boss. Her A1 hits the weakest target and places a 3-turn poison, as well as decreases their turn meter by 35%. Her A2 is a 3-turn cooldown AoE that places True Fear and a 3-ton poison plus decreases turn meter by 50%. Every time she's attacked, her passive places an HP burn on the attacking champion. Now, the 2 minions are support only. The first one places block damage on the boss, while the second one places block debuffs on the boss. Now, most important thing here is to take out the minions first and foremost. Then and only then deal with the boss. Now, the minions are the most crucial factor in dealing with the green boss, because if they're laying down block debuffs and block damage, the boss is basically unstoppable, especially if you're unable to cleanse, block, or resist her True Fear, HP burn, and poisons. You will not be in the fight for long if you don't focus on the minions first. High resist, defense, shields, and a healer, maybe a reviver, are major factors in earning 3 stars here. Now, don't freak out on this level. You just need to build your team with the proper gear and stats to get you through, even if the battle is really, really, really long like this one is. Resist is the biggest factor that most people overlook. Don't make that mistake here, or it can be the difference between winning and winning with 3 stars. Just remember, it's all about the way you put your champions together. Try to make sure that you focus on the enemies that require you to focus on them, such as that Paragon in the 2nd level. When you do get to the final boss, if this is on auto, you're going to have to at least target the minions first. As you can see here, once the minions are gone, the boss becomes much easier. That's because those minions are constantly covering her back with the, block damage and the block debuffs. But, I think with this team, it does work here for 3 stars. It is slow. What it really needs, though, to make a big difference is somebody laying down heavy damage. Because as you can see with all these, I think the 2 man-eaters, one of them should be set up for heavier damage than what they are. And I think originally when I had these in my Bat Eater team, they were, but I think over the last 6 to 8 months, I think I've stolen the gear from them, maybe slowed them down a bit. Gear Grinder it definitely is not helping a whole lot, especially since I haven't even seen anybody go down and needing the revive. Ogren Jailer would help. The legendary Biggin would be a huge help here, just in having someone able to lay down enough damage to take out the boss a little bit quicker. But I think if I look back on it, I had more struggle with the I had more struggle along the way with the waves, and as far as time goes on this, than I did the final. All right, if this information helped you out along the way in your run toward Lydia, please consider subscribing here on YouTube. It's a small gesture that goes a long way toward the growth of the channel. I'm Finally He Sleeps. Thanks for hanging out. And as always, as long as you keep watching, I'll keep making videos.